It's Chippy from umbcportal.com. Thanks for watching the video channel. Don't forget to subscribe. In this video, Lenovo MIIX2-10. So this was shown at CES in January. It's just started to appear in the shops in Germany. I was very lucky. My local store, Conrad, had this available in stock, so I just snipped down to pick it up, and I'm glad it's this that's in stock, not something else, because this is one of the most, for me, the most interesting devices of CES. There were two versions of this, an 11-inch with Core processor and this 10-inch with the Bay Trail 3740 processor. And the reason I'm interested in it is because I have been using the Acer W510, which was a €499 detachable over the last year and a bit, and I really enjoyed it. It found a place in my arsenal of computers, if you like, as something I could pick up for casual use, both at home. I took it on holiday, and it was really the perfect holiday two-in-one. In fact, the perfect holiday PC, really. It didn't have 3G, but my smartphone has hotspot capability, so that wasn't a problem. Great battery life and a good weight, and I think just a nice secondary PC in the way that the netbook was, but covering far more usage scenarios because of that detachable tablet. So be really interested to see how the 210 fares up to the W510. Now obviously more processing power in this one. This is the Bay Trail quad core, 1.33 gigahertz, goes up to 1.8 gigahertz. There's a whole lot more CPU power in this than there was in that, and this I know is good enough for even some basic desktop usage, because I've got the W8T here, which is using exactly the same CPU. It's a Windows 8 8-inch tablet, and I've been using this over HDMI as a desktop, and it really is usable. So this, I think, could even go beyond holiday usage. I'll get to the unboxing in a minute, don't worry. And be, you know, hotel, overnight, conferences, that sort of thing, even, you know, days out of the office. So let's get on to that unboxing, because I know you're waiting for that. Right, I'll just rip off the packaging here, and then we'll zoom in and I'll show you the contents of the package. So 10-inch full HD screen, 1920 by 1080, 64 gigs of RAM, 469 euros it was in Germany here. Obviously it's going to have the German keyboard on, and that's not too much of a problem for me. And the old W510 had the same QWERTZ keyboard as well. We'll go around the device, and let's just first bring out the main part of it, which is the package itself. And of course the first thing I want to do, there's actually no noticeable difference. This may actually be a little bit lighter in terms of sizing, almost exactly the same. There's absolutely no difference there in terms of sizing and weight. Let's zoom in on the box. I'll show you the box contents, and we'll unwrap the tablet and show you around the ports and stuff. So here we go. That was the box. This obviously is the tablet and keyboard. I'll just put that to the side a second and show you what else is in the box. Let's open that up. We have nothing there. That's going to be safety and quick start manuals, and then I guess we've just got the power in here. Hopefully there's a micro USB adapter as well. Let's pull all that out. No. So we've got a basic interesting, it's not a micro USB charger. And what is the it's 1.5 amp 12 volt output. I did hear that the tablet is chargeable via micro USB, so we'll check that when we get to it. But there's no micro HDMI adapter, no USB breakout port, and by that I mean one of these which goes micro to, you know, a female USB port. Let's get back to the actual device itself and go around the specifications as I open this up. This is a 2 GB RAM device running the Bay Trail Z3740 quad core processor. It's Intel Atom on Bay Trail T version of the Bay Trail family of processors. Bay Trail M is for the sort of entry-level 2-in-1s. Tablet feels a little bit lighter than the W510 and feels pretty nice. The edges are a little bit sharp, it's certainly not sort of smooth edges, but not too bad, and there's a nice little tapered look to it. Let's just have a look at the ports on this. So we've got power, there's the headphone headset port there, micro HDMI, micro USB. Now this is your micro SD card slot. Now I think in the 3G versions there'll be the SIM card slot or micro SIM card slot there. Speaker output there, power button there. I'm going to switch that on right now. Over the top we have single mic. We'll have a look, see if there's anything else there in terms of mics. Then we have volume rocker, the second speaker, and power input as well. On the bottom there's just that docking port connector there. Now this is kind of interesting because this docking station doesn't have a battery yet, but it's supposed to have the Lenovo AccuType keyboard. So if they're promoting it as being a good keyboard, then I'd be happy just to have this keyboard over a device with a battery in it. And it is, because it hasn't got a battery in, really light. Wow, it's so much lighter than the W510. Now this isn't a Bluetooth keyboard, so I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure you can't use it with anything else. So all you've got is a keyboard and mouse pad, but what they've done is integrated what they call a subwoofer. Again, clearly not a subwoofer by any stretch of the definition, but kind of JBL optimized, so there's a bit of processing going on. It'll be interesting to see if that's an enjoyable experience, because you've got this mode here which is going to give you, if he gets it right, a seat back experience for, you know, when you're on the plane. Let's just get that back in focus, people. Hello. Why is that not in focus? Sorry about that. Yeah, so you've got this sort of seat back mode. That's really not good in terms of focus. Right, manual focus switch. There you go. All live here. So if that speaker works nicely, that's going to be really good. Now it's a magnetically attached unit, and that seems to attach fairly nicely there. Let's see. Okay, you can pull that out fairly easily. You probably want to be careful if you do that. There's nothing in that base unit, no major electronics, so it's probably going to be fairly sturdy. And then that just locks down, and that's a magnetically attached unit there. Now, yes, it does come away like that Sony Vaio Tap 11. You can just slide that out, and that does actually scratch across the front, you can hear that, of the screen. So I hope that screen is hardened. In terms of total weight, I think it's 2.3 pounds. Now what we need to do is bring in the W510 and show you, if we zoom out carefully, in terms of sizing difference there. Now the MIIX2-10-00136 is just slightly longer. I'll take that, given that it's got a 1080p display instead of the 1366 by 768. In terms of height, it's a little bit higher, so it's slightly bigger than the W510. Screen size looks, there's a different okay, there's a different aspect ratio of this. This is slightly more widescreen than this. Is this 16:10 and this 16:9? I don't know. We'll have to check on the details. And in terms of the base unit then, of course this one's much heavier. It has the battery in it. Sizing pretty much exactly the same. On the Lenovo base unit you have got a USB port here. I believe it's USB 2. Oh, two USB 2s. Now that's pretty handy. So you can actually leave this connected to an external hard drive and keyboard and mouse, which would be quite nice for sort of docking. But that I think is a really nice keyboard. And obviously we're going to do some tests on the keyboard and see if it really is AccuType, but it oh yeah, it's got a nice feel to it, but then again, so did that Lenovo MIIX keyboard, but that had a very strange performance. Nice mouse clicks on the mouse button. It's obviously fairly small, but that's, oh, it's a full click all around. So obviously testing needed there. Right then, so obviously no charge in that battery. I think this is one that you need to plug in first before it'll actually switch on. So I'll do that. We'll come back and bring up the UI for you. Okay, we're booted up. Number of things to tell you. I've had a quick test and a quick setup. The first thing I did is remove McAfee. It's rather annoying, taking 100% of CPU for the first 2 or 3 minutes of the use of a new PC is really not a good experience. OEM should think about that. Removed that one anyway. Looking through the device manager, I noticed that we've got no NFC on this one, so that might be important to some of you, might not be. Broadcom Wi-Fi, and I believe that's 5 GHz and 2.4 GHz, as on the old Clover Trail devices. 2 webcams, 2 megapixel at the front and a 5 megapixel at the back here. And not sure if that's autofocus, but I'll do some tests on that. The USB port does charge it, so I have tested. I've used a USB cable, and it does charge through this USB port here. So you will be able to charge it from you know, a 2 amp or a 1.5 amp output USB power pack. The adapter is not included, but I used one from a W510, the Acer, so I think a pretty standard adapter, and that worked when I tested it with a USB stick, so that's pretty good. The screen resolution is 1920 by 1200, not 1920 by 1080, so it is a slightly different aspect ratio than the W510 at least, and some of you might prefer that, more vertical pixels to work with on the screen then. There's TPM 2.0 in here, which might not mean much to many people, but it does mean that you can switch on full disk encryption for free on Windows 8.1. That's a unique feature to devices that have connected standby, or instant go as it's called now, TPM, and if you log in through a Microsoft account. I think that's the third requirement there. So full disk encryption should be interesting to some people. As I mentioned, it's got connected standby. I've checked that, and that works. That means you can turn the device off with a power button, and Windows 8.1 apps still are able to run in the background. So for example, Skype and music. Another thing I forgot to mention is that Microsoft Office is included on this, and it's a full version, home and student version, and the license is included in the box. So that's quite an advantage, I think, especially for devices that have the keyboards. Devices that are larger than 10 inches don't have the Microsoft Office included, or at least the ones that have a core processor as well. Now we get to the keyboard, and you'll be pleased to know that there's no major problems that I can see so far. In fact, the mouse pointer is really quite smooth. Mouse buttons are quite nice for a device of this caliber, and although it's not a multi-touch mouse, and I've checked for configuration, that might annoy some of you, but you're so close to the touchscreen in this case that scrolling with a finger really is probably a better and easier solution. Obviously no backlight on the keyboard, no battery in the keyboard dock, and as we mentioned before, you know, it's quite nice, easy to carry, but there's always that risk that that's going to come off there. It takes a fair bit of effort. I mean, I'm pushing pretty hard there. I don't know, difficult to know, a kilo of effort, I don't know, but it's certainly it's going to be fairly stable, and it's pretty easy just to flip it up into that mode as well, and I kind of like that. One thing I will say about this is that there is a little bit of play, as with a laptop, I guess. It's fairly stable, so you can give a fair bit of touch pressure to the screen, but there is that little bit of play there, and it's possible that it could even disconnect, I think, if you really pushed it too hard. Maybe not. It seems to tip back before it disconnects, so that's quite good. So that one more thing. Oh, it's got an error come up here. Why is that got an error? We'll sort that out in a minute. But there's one more thing about the screen, and that is the angle. It is fixed angle, and for those that work fairly close to the screen, it doesn't feel quite that it's back far enough. But it is an IPS screen, so there's really no problem in actually seeing stuff on the screen. And interesting here. What am I doing? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I won't put my password in online. So that's really no problem. Screen brightness is difficult to tell actually in here. I'm not in the brightest of rooms, and the auto backlight is turning it down a bit. I have a feeling it's not going to be the brightest of screens, but it certainly seems okay in this office environment. Now, obviously that is just a first hands-on with the Lenovo MIIX2-10. First impressions, I have to say, for 479 euros, and remember that's including 19% tax here in Germany, so I might be able to just tell you the pre-tax figure, which would equate to what you'd pay in dollars. Pre-tax would be 394 euros at the Comrade shop. Actually, online it's a little bit more expensive now, but for 394 euros, that's pretty amazing value. You've got a netbook-like device with a touchscreen, with excellent battery life, with Office included, with the 2-in-1 feature. You can actually use this as a really nice consumer-style tablet. Really, no problem there. And oh yeah, one more thing: the JBL speakers. They're not too bad at all. In fact, the speakers on the tablet itself are quite smooth and quite loud. This JBL section at the front adds a little bit of bass to it, not a massive amount, but it adds a little bit of bass. It's certainly not a subwoofer. Good. So full review on umpcportal.com for this. Stay tuned for that. And the specs on umpcportal.com, we've got the specs up there. There's a couple of videos from the guys that were out at CES. Don't forget to like the video if you've enjoyed this. There's going to be more coverage coming up, and if you've got questions, you can leave them in the comment section underneath the video on the site, or you can tweet me at Chippy on Twitter. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again in the next video.